Hey guys, EST here, and today we're covering less than lethal weapons as requested by one of our fans. If you're carrying a gun, you might think, oh, I'm set. What if somebody wants to fistfight you? That in almost any municipality doesn't merit lethal force. Unless you're like extremely vulnerable, old, something like that, feeble, where it's like a, what do they call that, a disparity of force or whatever. You could maybe get away with it, but I could maybe get away with it in court is not where you want to go. So less than lethal options are huge. So let's start with one of the dumber ones, which is a retractable baton, which I've already nicked up the poster board in a failed take. So this is one of the bigger ones. I think it's 22 inches total. It's got a nice rubber grip. Kind of hard to take out of a holster. Kind of hard to take out of a pocket. Very much imprints. You need big like cargo pockets to hold this. It's just dumb. And to call this less than lethal, it's barely even classified as that. It's how you can use it in a less than lethal way, but it's about as less than lethal as a baseball bat. So, little flick of the wrist and it's out. There you go. You got to do it nice and firm and hard. Otherwise, it will half lock and then it'll collapse the first time you hit something. Also, I've hit a coconut in midair, not that heavy, maybe a pound or two, and bent the living crap out of one of these. So, see my third channel. Actually, that's the same video we filmed and I didn't realize I had pepper spray in my face. I couldn't figure out what was going on. But, I mean, this plus your arm, you're looking at like 5 feet of total distance, and every time you double the length of the lever arm, the impact force of the tip is quadrupled, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that in physics. So, I mean, 5 feet plus the weight of this, plus the tip, plus, about 100 miles an hour plus, oh, you are going to just ruin somebody's day. Now, if I hit somebody in the skull with this, I bet you as, a fairly maybe above average adult male, could just crack their skull and kill them. So that's a problem, obviously. Hit somebody in the windpipe with this, they're dead. 100% they're dead. It would be a miracle if they survived that. Normally what you want to do is go for large muscle groups to stop somebody from running or like grabbing something. It's not impossible to break a bone with this. I could see somebody snap a rib, but I don't know. In a otherwise healthy person, especially like a larger person, somebody with muscles, somebody who saw it coming, kind of braced for it. I don't know. This is mostly just pain, which people tend to not feel in like a physical confrontation because adrenaline. So it's just not good. I mean, this is almost exclusively used by actually criminals. They'll come up behind somebody, hit them in the back of the calf, and then they're in so much pain because they weren't in adrenaline mode. They didn't know they were fighting. It's just suddenly, oh my gosh, that hurts. They go down, you steal their phone, you steal their purse, you run off, and there you go. So cops don't tend to use these after, let's be honest, Rodney King. They have a bit of a bad reputation. It's just bad. It's just you're probably going to actually kill the person. If you don't, you're just going to anger them or do nothing. And if you think, oh, but it's their fist versus a ranged one, they're either going to give up or I'm just going to get so many hits on them that they somehow magically go down. I don't know. That's some Hollywood stuff. I don't like these. I mostly have this to intimidate people. Like, you know how much paperwork it is when you're working security if you pepper spray somebody or shoot somebody? This is just the go away. Like, this is the I wasn't kidding, you're getting kicked out. Like, that's this. This is the go away stick. If somebody actually came at me and this was in my hand, they just decided, well, let's go then, I'd probably drop it and pepper spray them. So either just use my fist. I don't know. I feel like this is better than my fist. I mean, it kind of feels like a weapon, but it's more of like a safety blanket. Like, oh, look at this. I have a big, strong steel weapon. Yes. Indoors, you're gonna hit everything and everyone around you. This is just one giant legal liability. Don't buy these; they're awful. Next up in this cute little holster with a breakaway that doesn't break away at all unless you press the button, which then it's not really breakaway, is it? There we go. That is exceptionally dumb. We've got this Dragonfire pepper spray. Not the best brand, but at least it's not gel style. Never buy gel style. There's no purpose for gel. So the other types that I know of are powder based, which is usually like pepper balls in a paintball, and they're used in like prisons. Like, why would you have that? How are you even carrying that? And then you've got your gel style, which just take way too long to kick in. That's the flaw with them. Not much more to say. It takes longer to clean off, I heard, but then at that point, who cares? Like, what? You're already gone, or they're already arrested, so now you're just being a jerk. But yeah, then there's foggers, which are like really wide like spray. It's like an aerosol. Those are mostly used against bears, and like they're popular in other countries. Harder to miss, but if you're indoors, everybody's going to feel it. Within 30 to 60 seconds, probably, everybody you included is going to get a taste of that. In your eyes, by the way. I don't just mean, spicy air. Like, no, everybody's going to have a bad day. In like a subway car, 10 seconds, everybody's going to feel it. So this is very, very liquid. It kicks in very quickly. It's a very narrow stream, though, so you do have to aim it, but it's not that hard. I did a test spray of this. which that went really well. Go see my third channel, same channel where we broke the baton on a coconut. And I mean, yeah, it reaches out there, that's for sure. But the big thing I hear complaints about from cops are wind. They don't like wind because you might as well not even pull this out because it might pull back in you or it's going to hit someone else. Or this isn't a magic bullet, but it's as close as you can get. The effectiveness of this and the stopping power compared to a taser, it is much, much, much higher. I would reach for this above any LTL ever. My big issue with this is though, although it's like, $7 if you buy it in bulk, like get a 4-pack or something, you shouldn't, because unless you got 4 people to hand them to, these expire. You should swap these out every 2 to 3 years. I've heard even 18 months. I mean, but that gets expensive. You get really good stuff like Palm, which, not sponsored or anything. I just heard they're pretty much the industry best. That's like 20 some dollars each time. Oh boy. I mean, every 2 years again, it's not bad that you're paying like what, $1 to a month for security, but oh man, that gets annoying. You gotta like maybe write a date on it and all that. And this one's actually probably passed anyway. I can tell by the label. So usually every time I go to a gun show, I'll like maybe consider replacing this. A lot of them sell Dragonfire because it's cheap. It's foreign made. The label's kind of crap, but it works. So I mean, if you're gonna go LTL, get the best because it's like, oh, it's triple the cost, but it's like $20. Just get Palm. But don't get gel. Don't get foggers. I'm not a fan unless you're just that bad at aiming. But they tend to only fire like a couple feet, so you got to get way closer. This I get 10, 15 feet out of this easy. And don't get gel style because they just take too long to kick in. This is all about how quick can they go down. And usually 2 to 5 seconds after they get hit with this, they can't do anything. They can't see. They can't even open their eyes. I mean, I've seen people power through it if they're on drugs or if they're angry enough or motivated or they just happen to not be real susceptible to peppers in the eyes for some reason. That's a thing, trust me. And anybody wearing glasses, you're just not going to get a good direct hit on them. So I think you'd be wearing a motorcycle helmet. You don't know. I mean, there's a lot of motor robbers out there. So it's like this isn't magic, but it's about as close as you're going to get to like the perfect solution. So this is what I carry. Pepper spray is just a fight stopper. They're going to be in so much pain, plus not able to see, plus not able to leave the scene. So you leave the scene, call the cops, and they're going to be still trying to wash it off or just, I mean, you can keep an eye on them from a fairly safe distance of like 20 feet, and they won't know where you are. If they did, they wouldn't be able to come after you, and it's a horrible experience. Now, people have had allergic reactions, breathe it in, they have asthma, they can't get to their inhaler, and then they die. So it's like, this is still, I always tell people, how did they die from pepper spray? Did they swallow the bottle? Did you shove it down their throat? It's extremely uncommon to the point where it might even stand up in court as you're like, I had no idea this was one of the 1 in 1,000 people that have a horrible reaction to it, but with my crazy immune system, all the stuff I'm allergic to, I'd probably die if I inhaled this, so I don't know, but this is number one on the list, easily. Plus, it's small, fits in your pocket, I love it. So let's move on to a crazy one. We got the big old Chinese import contact tasers, stun gun, whatever you want to say. If you see 40 million volts, 20 million volts, 4 million volts, it all hurts. Volts barely matter. It's really the amps and they're amp controlled anyway. More voltage just means the prongs can be further apart. It's really just, you hit them with it, they're gonna feel it. I like the ones that are 6 contact points, 3 and 3. This one, it's actually not even that good of a flashlight. It's kind of bright, it's not too bad, but this one is really stupid. So it's got a rechargeable. It's probably got an 18650 cell in there. It'd be great if it would focus. Here we go. Yeah, kind of nice. Got a little strap. I mean, it's okay. You want to shine that in someone's eyes, and I think it has like a flash mode. That's kind of nice. That's kind of LTL by itself, by the way. Hyper bright flashlights. If they can't see you, they either gonna shoot blindly like an idiot, or they're gonna leave. They can't see you. They can't fight you. They can't really effectively get closer. You can see them. They can't see you. So ultra bright flashlights. That's, oh my gosh. And then if the crenellated front, you can kind of hit them and really dig in, maybe draw a little bit of blood. It's a last resort bludgeoning tool. I mean, the lever arm on this isn't very much. It doesn't weigh very much, but I wouldn't want to get hit with it. But compared to the baton, which will probably just piss people off, this will just extremely piss people off. So just flashlights, throwing that out there, that's an option. But on this one, it's the Red Scorpion. Even the label's kind of crap on this. You have to turn it on flashlight and then past it, then go to the bottom and enable shock mode, and then hit this. I probably am going to have to turn that down at editing. That was loud. If somebody hears that, it is one hell of a disincentive. They just think, I'm about to be in a lot of pain. Now, do they care? Are they motivated? Why are they attacking you? It's, it's just, it's kind of like the pump out of shotgun. People are like, when they hear that, everybody runs. No, not necessarily. Not if they're there to kill you. Not if they have contaminated thinking. They're high on drugs. Who knows? I mean, you can't count on disincentives. Okay, they help, but don't count on them. But man, I've gotten shocked with a taser similar to this. And I say taser. Taser is a brand name, so I guess stun flashlight would be more appropriate. It was very, very unpleasant. It felt like I got hit in the hand, like right there, which, by the way, if I were to touch this right now, residual in the capacitor and the coils, I would actually get a slight shock. Very unpleasant. But basically, I got hit in the hand right there. And right up until about here, it felt like my hand was being run over by a steamroller while being lit on fire. It was unbelievable pain, but then the second it turned off, I could turn around and punch someone. So the stopping power of this, all it does is like, oh wow, that hurts, and then the second it turns off, you're just like, okay, we're fighting then. So they recommend, even in the manual, I think 3 to 5 seconds. It says is the ideal duration because that's enough to confuse someone or like cause mental clouding. Like it's like a nervous system disruptor at that point where they just forget what they were doing. Like it's like the paddles, the reset, and yeehaw, reboot your brain. Where am I? Only really if you get them instead of in a muscle group in like the spine or the neck. So you see in accurate Hollywood movies, people will take those prongs and go straight for the neck, just right there. How did you get that close? How did they not hit you? And like, you're probably the aggressor. Like, it's in a self-defense thing. What did you disappear and teleport behind them like some kind of ninja? Like, you throw down the smoke? I don't see how that's anything other than a miracle. I mean, I'd go for it, but a lot of fights will get entangled. They turned into entangled upright grappling that may or may not go to the ground. So if you then free up a hand and grab this or already have it in your hand, you might be able to get to their neck and there's nothing they can do to dodge because they can't even see your hands. So you could absolutely take someone down that way. Hand-to-hand contact, will it share to you? I've heard different things. They say usually clothing gets in the way. A lot of people wear gloves. That's a whole thing. So if you shock them, you might shock you. I don't know. I mean, I'm not brave enough to try it. I've heard stuff both ways, so that's just be aware that might be a thing. But if you get them with this in the spine, you might get enough time where they're dazed and just being like, what just happened to me, that you can like run away. But why didn't you just run away in the first place? You use your run foo, as they say. Run foo is the best defense. If you can run faster than them, well then you're gone, and oh well, different target. Unless they have a ranged weapon. And this is a contact weapon, you gotta get up close. So it is just generally not safe. I'd almost say the flashlight portion is more useful, and this is not nearly as bright as my other flashlight. So highly defensive flashlights, very nice. Flashlights with stun options, okay, but it's probably more useful as a flashlight. Now, full-blown deployment tasers, which you can own, they're huge. You are not going to hide them on yourself. So if you can't hide them, what's the point? I mean, what, are you just going to walk around with that? Look like Batman? Wear the whole Batman belt? I mean, it's quite silly. But the big deal with that is it's an immense amount of power. If they have a heart condition, a pacemaker, or they're on drugs and their blood pressure is already too high, too low, you probably just killed them, so that's an issue. If they go down and hit their skull on the concrete, you probably just killed them, which is a problem. That's actually a problem with these too, by the way, but generally, if one prong doesn't land or doesn't get through their clothing into their skin, so if they're wearing a jacket, it's just, there it is, does nothing. So statistically, about 50% of the time, full-blown police tasers with prongs that could shoot like 40, 50 feet don't work. So I don't like a 50-50 coin flip. If somebody's got a knife charging me, I'm not going to go for the taser. Well, that's obviously, they're threatening your life with a deadly weapon. That's why LTL, I'm not putting knives in her, because they absolutely are deadly weapons. They're just terrible at it, and usually minutes later die from bleeding. So they're like LTL, but also lethal later, which is the worst LTL you can possibly conceive of, because it has zero stopping power, a little bit of disincentive, a high skill level. You got to get close. The range is almost nothing. It's just, don't carry a knife. There's no point. Unless you find yourself needing to open packages or cut ropes, don't carry a knife. I guess we could talk about throwing knives. Okay, I said it. What the hell? This wouldn't be my channel, well, if you see my main, without talking about throwing knives, because we all know at this point I'm really, really good with them. There's a nice MTech. But these have the stopping power of a potato. I'd probably rather have a potato just for the sheer blunt weight. But the skill level required to stick them and not get them with the back. First of all, throwing knives are stupid. Just use throwing stars, because they don't miss. They're all points. But also, how do you carry these? You know, I do have a wrist strap actually. I can carry 3 of them. That's kind of nice. But zero stopping power. Most people, like, if you cut yourself, you don't even feel it, and in a fight, you're definitely not going to feel it. So, unless you get this right in, I don't know what, the back of their spine, they're not going down. These are the worst, dumbest thing you could ever possibly carry. They're great for sideshows and for tricks on YouTube and hitting Magic the Gathering cards and other such things, but throwing knives, absolute definite no. So let's talk custom shotgun shells. All of those happen to be lethal, but I thought it would be a fun illustrator. So let me just hide the serial number here. Here we go. This is my pistol grip shotgun. This is the lowest length it can legally be, which I think is like 27.5 inches. 18.5 inch barrel right there. I got the nice anti-heat shield there. It can only hold 5 shells in the tube, but it was normal pump shotgun. You could breech load it if you want. I think you can fit it through there. Just, you know, your average shotgun. This thing was under $200, dirt cheap, brand new. It's a Maverick 88 if you're curious. Whoops. I'm ruining my crappy dollar store background. But let's say that I've got not a pistol grip on it, which for recoil reasons I'd say not a pistol grip, and also you're not carrying this on you, but let's just say it's in your car, you want an LTL that also has a lethal option. Now see, that's big. Now, what cops will usually do, because they do not want mistakes, especially under pressure, is they will have a spray painted or all plastic decked out furniture, as they call it, like this kind of stuff, that's all like neon orange. So that is the LTL less than lethal shotgun, and it takes LTL shells. There you go. You could probably load a normal one in there. There's nothing stopping you. But that is the one you draw when you want to fire beanbags or rubber bullets. Those are the two major ones. They do make actually pepper rounds. Those are kind of fun. But they hit, if you hit somebody in the head or the eye, they're dead. You could break their nose, you could break a rib. They're no joke. But on impact, they spread pepper powder into their face and then they breathe it in and they're like, oh, this is terrible. I give up. Not nearly as good as pepper spray, and they're not very accurate rounds, but I mean, still a shotgun, a slug. You could probably get them 200 yards, maybe, if you're really good and really lucky. And then, why are you using LTL at that range? Just run away, get in a car, get in a building. I mean, like, if they're 1/5 of a kilometer away, I don't know. I don't know what the court would say about that. But from like 30 feet away, 50 feet away, they're quite nice. You can actually hit the wall next to them with a pepper round, and still it'll kind of just float in the air and just, you know, be there. But compared to direct, like a jet of oleo resin to the eyes, not quite the same. It's more of a delayed reaction. It's more to subdue someone. It's really cops use and prison use. Civilians, I don't know about that, but you can buy them. They're perfectly legal. Well, then we got the rubber bullets. So none of these are slugs. I really thought one of them was. They're all buckshot. But imagine this whole thing just a little rubber missile, basically. And they tend to actually be shaped like a Nerf gun or a rocket or a missile, believe it or not. They can fly pretty far. And I mean, it's rubber. It's probably not going to break a rib quite as easily as beanbag rounds, which we'll talk about next. But it's supposed to just be so much pain that somebody's like, oh, okay, you could maybe, if you're a sharpshooter, get him in the hand, make him drop a gun, make him drop a knife or something, get him in the head and just really like concuss them. But it's a pain implement. You might as well be firing this taser out of the shotgun, which, for the record, they do have actually like capacitor mini battery taser shells. I don't think those are civilian viable, but those are interesting. They got the two prongs, so if you hit them, they're stunned. But I don't know. The tase duration is predetermined. I think it's like 2 seconds. So it's one of those things where it's like the second it wears off, they're back in the battle. It's a moral thing. It's a psychological thing. It's a I don't want more pain thing. But if somebody's motivated enough, well, then they just override it. You don't want it to be the target's option if you're trying to like make them go down and stop attacking you or whatever. You know, I don't know the scenario. We're keeping this general, but let's talk about beanbags. Those are meant to be less than lethal, but just barely. If they hit you in the head, you're probably dead. If they hit you in the eye, you are absolutely dead. So they aim for, you know, high center chest or even lower. Get hit in the guts and you're just going to be like, okay, that hurt. I mean, we're talking, it's like taser level impact pain, just muscle group pain where you're like, whoa, but it doesn't go away. You're going to be waiting 2 to 3 weeks for that bruise to go away. I mean, oh boy, you want to talk about a pain disincentive. You get somebody with those. I've seen people just crumple under the sheer pain of it, especially if they get hit in the legs too, by the way. But it's almost a given at almost any distance that they're going to break a bone. You hit them in the arm, they broke an arm bone. Hit them in the ribs, they broke a rib. I mean, it's not good. So you kind of, I mean, if the person was kind of larger, I'd go for it. because that's enough padding that it's just going to be sheer hydrostatic, like tissue damage pain. And it's very, very, very hard to concentrate hard enough to get past that. Now, if they're high on, crack cocaine, that's a different story. So, that's the scenario where it's like, oh, I don't know why this guy's coming at me. Well, let me grab my shotgun out of my car, which if you're in your car, just get in your car, lock it, there you go, and drive away. But I would not feel bad and be like, that's not getting to his ribs. But boy, is he gonna feel that. Just hope you don't miss. You hit him in the head, they're dead. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just one little flinch, one little duck. I mean, there's between you deciding to pull the trigger and taking the action and then it impacting them is just under half a second. People could duck completely 2 feet in half a second. I mean, if they're already moving, it's the moving target thing. It's like once you decided the trigger's being pulled, they can move real far and you can hit somebody in the wrong place if they duck or if there's an entangled fight with someone else, which is why you wouldn't really use that. But I mean, you can take this and just say, oh, well, now they pulled out a gun or a knife. Cool. Slug time, blow them away. I mean, the slug, they're dead. You hit them anywhere, they're dead. It's 100% lethal, just about. Buckshot, kind of similar. Birdshot, depends on the distance, but shotgun lethality is up there with like the highest of sniper rifle calibers. I actually think, yeah, I think it's like 4,000 newtons or something of impact energy from a 12 gauge slug, which is slightly higher than 308 or something and approaching almost like a 50 PMG, which is up in the 10,000 range, but it's approaching it. Yeah, it's the kind of thing that just rips through you and leaves a hole. I mean, you don't survive that. So to have the option where you could have like a slug, buckshot, pepper, rubber bullet, even though I wouldn't recommend it, and then like whatever else I didn't say. I forgot halfway through counting. What did I miss? Beanbag round? But a beanbag round, for the record, is a Kevlar sock full of like ceramic marbles. And they tend to still fly about 1,000 FPS or higher, and they're very heavy. The Kevlar sock, it's like, well, you got full force shot by a shotgun round, but it didn't penetrate because the Kevlar was the Kevlar. So they're like firing the bulletproof vest at you, but you're still getting shot by a shotgun, which, ask anyone, you're still going down and you're still going to break bones and you're going to have a hell of a bruise and internal bleeding. It might even get far enough in that from certain angles that it could like destroy your kidneys and you die anyway. So the beanbag rounds are harsh, and then they do rely on pain, but there's a lot of it, so it's like it's somewhat effective, but that's because it's just so close to lethal. I wouldn't risk it, and I don't currently own any. I think that's the best thing I could say is I don't own them. I know about them, I know how they work, and I don't own them. So let's talk about knives. So this is like, oh, disincentive, I don't want to get stabbed, but if I do, what is this, 3-inch blade? Okay, I'm not that scared of this. If somebody whips this out, I'll be like, okay, this is bad. I feel like I could control their arm, I could get it off them, or the blade will break because it's a center axle switchblade. It's already actually loose. So this, not that intimidating. I mean, it's big, it's red, it's scary, it's black, ooh, whatever. But not everybody would see that and be like, well, okay, I'm not fighting them. I mean, a lot of people, especially dumb, drunk people, motivated people, people who are drug addicts and want to rob you, they're going to see that and just be like, well, we're fighting, whatever. Now, something like this, okay, that's scary. It's a scary shape, scary color. You get the visual, of it. If somebody gets stabbed with this, that's going into an organ. It doesn't matter where. It's going into the intestines. That's what you die from. That is not good. And serration, I think those are illegal in international warfare because the wound can't be easily sewn up. So, yikes. I mean, you see that? Oh, and I brought two for some reason. Frost cutlery, love them. Got that at the pawn shop. $20. Boom! Deal of the century. It was right in between two counterfeit frosts too. Look at that serration! Oh my gosh! I've actually cut down part of a tree with that. So also got some fire starting stuff in here. So hey, there you go, prepper item. You see that's like, okay, if I get stabbed with that, I'm dead. Somebody sees that and they're like, the fight's over. I'm not going near that, maybe, unless they have highly contaminated thinking. I mean, let me just retract this again. Not that scary. This is compared to a hand. just for reference. I have a very average size hand, actually. Now, would these be considered less than lethal? Typically, yes, but they might still die from it, and legally, they're all lethal. This, I'd consider that lethal 100% of the time, no matter what you do with it, so it's purely a disincentive. This is almost a sword and probably was classified as 1,000 years ago. And then we've got, you knew this was coming, an actual sword. So this is just a straight blade. I think it's Deadpool style. It's got the Japanese wrapping. It's just some Chinese crap or the Pakistan or wherever the hell this is. It says stainless. I guarantee you it's not. Oh, that rattle. You can hear the quality in the rattle. Hey, look at that. But pretty good grip actually. And I've actually used this for like just chopping some vines and stuff. It's actually not bad. I mean, I'd rather buy an actual purpose-built good stainless machete, but those are kind of expensive. And I got these at I think a rummage sale, which you guys probably call a yard sale, for like $15. And it was a set of two, and a crossblade, like an X style back holder, double scabbard, whatever you call it. But I mean, this, you see somebody pull out this, you're like, I'm gonna lose an arm. Like this is like this guy has a sword. I'm not gonna mess with a sword. It's I've seen probably 1,000 police videos and counter videos, security stuff. I have like 5 channels I follow with that. Somebody pulls out a sword, everybody stays away from them. I mean, there have been sword attacks in England where even the police don't want to get near the person. Now, if they got a knife, they're just like, oh, let's move in, pepper spray and whatever. It's a knife. People are more scared of swords because I mean, I can get this up to a higher, slashing, and it weighs more. And it has, I guess I would say, like a longer blade, so you have a higher reach. It's just, you're going to have trouble getting inside of this. You're going to have trouble deflecting it. You're going to have trouble making them drop it. They could turn it in on you. It's just scarier. People know it's scarier because it is. Where the heck are you going to keep a sword on you? I mean, remember, this is the silly one. But I'm just saying, like, if you think, oh, well, a knife's a knife, a blade's a blade, I'm going to scare them just as much with this as this, you're just not. That's just not the truth. And these are all extremely lethal, but also at the same time worse than a gun, because you get the same issues with the baton. I mean, it's just like a blunt sword. Now, I could flip this around and start hitting people with the blunt side of it and do some serious damage and some serious pain without killing them, so it kind of has options, whereas my baton doesn't. But my baton's retractable, and this isn't. They actually do make telescoping swords, but swords are made for stabbing in some cases, and usually they don't lock in quite as nicely. And then if it has a blunt tip on it, so that you can slam it into the ground and retract it, I don't know. They're usually stage swords. What I've seen is people convert them. I probably really shouldn't say that, but it's not a good idea. Let's just put it that way. And they're flimsy, and this is already like I could snap this off. So I mean, if you're gonna get a telescoping one, that's just stupid. Just get a full blunt one, or just get pepper spray because it's better. That's really the point of this video. It should be just called the Get Pepper Spray video because that's the best LTL out there. Just be aware of its limitations, and I think as a backup, because it's nice to have these just in daily use anyway, have an ultra bright flashlight, especially one with a flash mode, like a hyper fast flash mode, because that screws with people's irises. And I mean, I guess there's a chance they're epileptic, the person attacking you, but it's not real likely. But I think, yeah, I think a gun for lethal, a pepper spray for less than lethal, and then as a backup in case it's windy, they're wearing glasses, it doesn't work, it's empty, it's defective, whatever, have a hyper bright flashlight. And in fact, you can go for the flashlight first, especially if they're at a high distance and all of a sudden you just look like a glowing star to them. They aren't going to continue walking towards you. They're just going to be like, okay, target selection failed, I'm out. If you think somebody's coming up to mug you, they're running at you, you don't know what's going on, flashlight on, because one, you can see them. That's why most pistols should have a flashlight mount on them if you can still fit it in your holster and have it concealable, which that's a big if, by the way. But if you just have it in your pocket, and some cops like, oh, why I got that? I don't know, I'm jogging. I don't know, there's animals, dogs, and just want to see around. It's dark, whatever. I got a flashlight. Deal with it. And then, honestly, I would get one that's just really, really bright and then not even bother to have a taser attachment on it. That's my ideal combination for just out and about in the world, and it's the most utility, it's the most compact, lightest, hardest to see in your pocket. You can put it in a purse, although purse snatchers, well, then they got your pepper spray, which is why you should never keep a pistol in a purse. In fact, when I've got a backpack, I've got pepper spray in the backpack and then also in a special pouch on my cargo shorts, which I'm usually wearing. So shout out to Tactical 511. They're pretty cool, very expensive. Get them second hand. I'm sure they want me saying that, but it's not a sponsored video. But they have a pepper spray pocket on the left side. So I love that. So that's about all there is for less than lethal or nearly lethal or somewhere in between. I gave you my best suggestion. I think grand total equipped with a insane bright flashlight, but not like mental where it'll like start to burn out your hand in 2 minutes, because those are like $100 to $200. Just like a nice 3-watt Cree LED or something like that. They're like $8, especially they're like $7 if you buy them in bulk. Just get a couple 18650s too, real good genuine cells. Maybe rip apart a battery or something safely. It's just good to have them around. Just convert a whole system, have a couple chargers, and there you go, you're all set. Grand total between the batteries, the pepper spray, all that, like $30. For the ideal setup, it is not much. In fact, you might even just say in your area, I have like no money or guns are illegal, don't want to risk it. I don't know when I can carry it. The laws are nuts. The DAs are crazy. I'm just gonna go for the LTL option and save some money. You could do that. You could do that. I mean, I wouldn't. I like lethal, but you can get a long way against an animal or human attack with just a flashlight and some pepper spray. So that is the one I would definitely lean on. And if you're carrying just a pistol and you thought that'll solve all my problems, oh, I'll just brandish it if somebody wants to fight. What do you do if they decide not to, or they get it off you, or it's you need more than a pistol. You absolutely, in all circumstances, need more than a pistol. But hopefully this little review slash buyer's guide to LTL stuff helped you out. If it did, leave a big like. Thanks for watching. Check out the rest of our videos, and I'll see you guys next time.